Welcome to a very short, quick, easy presentation on how to create a new Business Customer Gateway account with United States Postal Service. Get your CRID, your Customer Registration ID, your new 9-digit MID, Mailer ID, and apply and receive your new mailing permit through the Business Customer Gateway account. It's going to be a very short presentation. We'll try to keep it simple. My name is Doug Morrow. I am a retired USPS postal executive. I'm working with Kringle Technology as postal automation specialist and partnering with Neopost to get this electronic connection to the United States Postal Service for you set up as easily and quickly as possible. Hopefully we can answer any questions you might have and make this go pretty quickly. I'm going to make an assumption that you are new to the Business Customer Gateway, that you don't have a CRID, you don't have a MID, and you don't have a mailing permit. Now, it's very possible you do have any one of those things, and if you do, there can be some complications as you begin the setup process that you'll need to deal with on a case-by-case basis, and you may have to get the help desk involved from the United States Postal Service, or one of your professional services development team members can help you. But this particular presentation is going to assume that you do not, that you're new to all of these things, just to keep it simple and to keep it short. So the very first thing we need to do to get this set up is to create a new account with the Business Customer Gateway. There are a couple ways to get there. One way, easy way, is just to go to USPS.com, go to the bottom of the screen and click on the Business Customer Gateway link. Or you can enter the actual address, gateway.usps.com, and you will get the login screen. Since you do not have an account, we are going to register for free, and we'll be asked a bunch of questions, typical setup questions. The first thing is a username, and it needs to be 6 characters or longer, and you will enter your username and you will validate it to make sure that it is indeed available. In this case, it is. So we will enter that as our user ID and next go to our creating our password. They're pretty picky about this. 10 to 50 characters long, must have at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and at least one of these special characters, and no other symbols are allowed. This makes for a rather difficult password to remember, so you'll need to write that down. You'll also be asked 2 security questions, and again, you want to write down your answers because by the time you use these, you will probably have forgotten what you used for security questions or what you used for answers. So I'm just going to write my information down and continue. Next, we have to enter our contact information, our name, phone number, email address, and then enter our address and validate indeed that that is a valid address for the United States Postal Service. And we'll select that address after it's been verified and continue. We've got our address verified. We're going to read our privacy policy and create the account. We have successfully registered our account in the Business Customer Gateway. We're almost ready to use it. We do have to read our terms and conditions and agree to that, so we'll do that. And now we indeed are signed up for the Business Customer Gateway. We have a new CRID, Customer Registration ID, 20156564, and a new 9-digit mailer ID, 901796337. This information is important for you to set up your new software. So you'll want to write this down and be able to use it in the profile when we actually do the install. You'll be given a default of a number of services in the Business Customer Gateway account. We will be using a couple of those today. The first one we'll be using is mailing services. So we'll select that and we will go down to Manage Permits because we want a permit to mail. And a permit is simply the United States Postal Service giving you permission to mail in a form of payment other than just putting stamps on the mail. So we need a permission to actually do that. We will go into Manage Permits, select our account name, and it will list all of the permits that are linked to this particular business location. And you'll see no permits are currently available, obviously because we don't have one. Now you'll notice that there are some tabs associated with this particular page. One is the profile, and it does have a search feature here. If you have an existing permit, you can use this to try to find that permit and link it. You'll see a permit validation tab. If indeed you did the search, you located it, you would validate that permit, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But we don't have one, we want one, so we use the Permit Creation tab, and we will actually use that tab to apply for a permit and actually get a new permit. So there's the Permit Creation tab. It's got some nice tutorials involved about how to apply for a permit, what kind of permits you need. We're going to skip all that and go directly to creating a permit. There's a couple different kinds of permits, outgoing and return mail permits. We're looking for an outgoing permit. The very first thing it asks us is how are you going to pay the postage? And there's a couple options: permit imprint, metered, or pre-canceled stamps. In this scenario, we're going to select permit imprint, accept the terms, and continue. Next, it asks you, where are you going to be mailing your mail? And so it'll ask you for the state and the city, and it will show you a list of available mailing locations. For us, that is only one, so we will select that as the default, the Mapleton Post Office, and continue. So it then pulls all of your information from your Business Customer Gateway account into your permit application, which makes it pretty nice. So we will check that. Yep, that's all correct, and we will continue. Next is telling us there will be a fee associated with this. This is a one-time fee for the permit. We're going to be selecting first class pre-sort. There is also a mailing fee that's associated with the pre-sort, automation pre-sort discount, and that is an annual fee. So there's a permit application fee, one time only, $225, and then a mailing fee annual of $225. We understand that. We don't need to pay it yet. We just are informed of it. So then we are ready to create our permit. It's going to be a permit imprint. We'll be mailing in Mapleton. This is for the company and the address and the contact information, and we realize there is an application fee. We want to create that permit by clicking Create Permit, and voila! We have created and have approved from the Postal Service a mailing permit. And we have a confirmation of that. It is a printer-friendly confirmation, which we will get to in a minute. It does show us all of our information, and there is a warning on the bottom of the screen that says if you're indeed going to be paying electronically, you need a CAPS account, and you'll need to talk to the CAPS service center to get that set up, which we don't need to worry about right now. We are going to print that hard copy, the confirmation of permit, and actually print it and take it with us to the post office to pay our applicable permit fees. So this is the actual piece of paper that we would take with us, and it is showing that we have already applied for and been granted a permit to mail, a mailing permit. Now that we have our permit, we're going back into the Business Customer Gateway, into Mailing Services, Manage Permits. We're going to go to that service. Here's our account, and we're going to select that account, and voila! All permits that are linked to the selected business are listed below, and there is our permit. Permit number 9, a permit imprint type, mailing at the Mapleton Post Office. It is already linked to our Business Customer Gateway, to our CRID, and to our MID. We also have the ability at this point to extend balance and fees by clicking on that particular checkbox, and the only reason you would do that is if you are using a mail service provider and they need to have access to your documentation. Um, and so we have now linked our permit, number 9, and we have extended the balance and fees to our mail service provider in the Business Customer Gateway. Pretty darn easy. If we already had an existing permit and we wanted to link it, we could do that search using the permit profile and then validate it by entering one of the last 10 mailing statements or postage statements that we've used, and we just simply enter the postage from one of those postage statements and then validate it, and we would have linked our existing permit to our Business Customer Gateway account. Also, if you have an existing account, you probably have an existing CRID and an existing MID or two. So you'll want to check that mailer ID to make sure that it is configured correctly, as well as check the mailer ID that we just applied for simply by using Mailer ID Services. It'll list all of the mailer IDs available to your account. We have only one. We go over to the Edit Program options to see how it is configured. And this is the default for the new one. Confirmation services for package and extra services, and full and basic service. Any of these options or services that we would be using would need to be configured for the MID that we're going to be using with that particular service. And also, you notice there's a line here. Anything above this line, you can do all of those services together with that same MID. However, below the line, if anything above is checked, you can't use that particular MID for package products. If package products EVS is selected, you can't use this particular MID for any of these services above the line. And that's where the complications get into with an existing MID. And you want to make sure that it is configured for the way that you are going to be using that particular mailer ID. Again, this is the creation of the Business Customer Gateway account, the CRID and the MID, as well as the mailing permit. These are agreements between the customer and the Postal Service, and it's something that the customer has to agree to. It's not something that we can do for you. We can help you. We can make it as easy as possible. And again, this particular presentation was assuming that everything is brand new. When you do have existing accounts and CRIDs and MIDs, there sometimes can be complications. We need to deal with those on a case-by-case basis, and sometimes we have to get the USPS help desk involved, and they can usually resolve these issues pretty quickly for us. That was pretty darn easy, don't you think? I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask us and make this as easy as possible. Thank you.